Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? Well, with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills. Wait, did I say job title yet? Get started today and see how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back to Fine Tooning with Drew Taylor, your one-stop shop when it comes to animation news and commentary. I'm entertainment writer Jim Hill, and Mr. Taylor, whose writings in the industry you can regularly read over on The Wrap, and whose musings on the Mission Impossible movies you can still listen to on Light the Fuse, the official Mission Impossible podcast. Just so you know, folks, Drew and I are getting an early start this week. We're actually recording this on Friday night, August 29th.
We're both dealing with things. Jim is sick, as you can probably hear.
There we go.
And I am dealing with a sick dog.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's... We're having a lively time over
there we
here,
go.
But,
there we
yeah.
go. And if it's any consolation, I've actually set up my appointment at the vet as well.
Oh, good. I want to see you in a cone next time.
Yeah. Okay. There is lots of news this week, most of which has to do with KPop Demon Hunters, which now #1 film on Netflix for all time. That correct?
That's correct. The measurement of time is 95 days, the first 95 days.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they hit like 260 or something in terms of minutes or views watched. So the theory is that it'll get past 300 by the time the kind of like period is over. So
wow,
it's an amazing accomplishment. It really, really is.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Drew will have more news about this breakthrough. But before we get to that, we got to acknowledge our sponsor, which of course is unlockmagic.com, which is where you can get real discounts on Walt Disney World and Universal Studios tickets, sometimes upwards of 12%. By the way, Unlock Magic is run by the exact same folks behind DVC Rental Store and the DVC Resale Market. So just pick your dates, grab your tickets, even for after-hours events like Mickey's Not So Scary or Halloween Horror Nights. Though, that said, Mr. Testa says those are going fast, so don't dilly-dally, folks. Head on over to unlockmagic.com, get your tickets, and tell them that Jim and Drew sent you. And if you go to Halloween Horror Nights, likely you'll see some demons, which makes me think of KPop Demon Hunters. So you, again, putting on your rap hat, you actually got to talk with the directors of KPop Demon Hunters about effectively, again, becoming the #1 Netflix film of all time.
Talk about a big week, Jim. You have the movie going out into theaters, becoming the #1 movie in the country.
Yep.
And then just a few days later, it becomes the biggest Netflix movie of all time. I mean, it's just astounding, the amount of attention the movie is getting and the amount of success. I don't know if you also saw that there are 4 different singles from the movie in the Billboard Top 100, which I think Netflix says it's the first time it's ever happened. I have heard that it happened once before with Saturday Night Fever, but anyway, that you look at it, it's a pretty impressive milestone. But they were just talking about how they never expected it, and Maggie was in South Korea recently and was being told about how much the movie means to them and how much it's improving attendance at museums, and people are so invested in the culture, and she's just like really blown away by it, as she should be. And it's a nice story. Yeah.
Did they have any indication? You got to remember, this thing didn't come out till June 20th. Was there any indication in the lead up to this that something special was going to happen here?
I don't think they had any clue, but this was a movie that was not deemed, worthy for a theatrical release by Sony Pictures Animation. So, I mean, they were kind of the underdogs the whole time. And, there was very little marketing or publicity in the lead up to K-Pop Demon Hunters. It just kind of came up and exploded. And it's really exciting to see. Not to step on I Want That's toes, Jim, but did you see all the Funko Pops that they announced this week for K-Pop Demon Hunters?
Yeah, it is an impressive wave of merch. And, and more to the point, given that we now know that we are in fact getting sequels, you know, that this is the first wave. So let's talk about that, because remember, you did the story for the Wrap about 2 or 3 weeks ago, where I remember the, you know, they pushed back on what, the Broadway musical?
No, they pushed back on the live action remake, but I stand firm in my reporting on that. That was I was being used, Jim, a little bit as a puppet for that, but that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, they said, you know, that they've started thinking about it, and you know, it's the pressure is on, Jim. The pressure is on to really deliver something that is not only worthy of the first movie, but you know, is even better, even bigger. You know, Maggie and Chris both talked about how just, you know, it's a very daunting proposition, but it's one that they're looking forward to. My pitch, Jim, is to do the 80s version of the K-pop Demon Hunters. That's what I want to see.
Oh,
them in the 80s.
That could be cool. But realistically, though, are there story threads that can be teased out here, do you think?
I have heard that well, you know, Jim, there's so much back and forth about the romance from the first movie and how upset fans are. I don't want to give anything away in case there's anyone listening to the show that has not watched it yet. But I think that relationship, I think, is going to be explored in a sequel. But I know they're thinking about it, and obviously there's discussions going on. It's very interesting because Netflix owns the property completely, but they are bringing Sony back to work on the sequel. So that's everything. It's good news all around. So,
we can work with that. So, but again, speaking of Netflix, and they don't just have demons over there. They also have, well, you know, like Connie the hormone monster from Big Mouth, which, by the way, ended its 8-season run back in May of this year. Now, Maya Rudolph, who's taken home 4 Emmys for outstanding voice work on this show. In fact, she had a solid run of, I want to say, from the year 2020 to 2023. She's up for another Emmy this year, but as for sequels to Big Mouth, and again, the big success at Netflix, they tried Human Resources, and that ran for 2 seasons, got canceled back in 2023, and now we have Mating Season, I want to say. That's
yes.
You know, coming up.
I saw some footage from Mating Season at Annecy, and the crowd went absolutely wild. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
not a sequel per se to Big Mouth, because this time around, as opposed to teenagers, you know, human teenagers, we've got anthropomorphic deer, bears, raccoons, that sort of thing. Speaking of anthropomorphic animals, well, this time last year we were doing the great walk up to Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Was Fowl, which wasn't released theatrically. I think it got screened at the American Film Institute, but then that debuted Christmas Day on BBC One and iPlayer, and then finally showed up on Netflix at, you know, what was it, the 3rd of January this year. And I'm kind of intrigued that Aardman has another project in the works right now, Shaun the Sheep, the Beast of Mossy Bottom. But no mention, I mean, this is going theatrical. This is Sky and Studio Canal, and supposed to be released to theaters in 2026. No mention yet about where this is going to end up streaming-wise.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's also the international partners, Jim. So we don't know who is even distributing in America.
There we go.
So that is a big question. It could go back to Netflix, although I had heard that Wallace and Gromit was going to be the last partnership between Netflix and Aardman for whatever reason. I don't know why. But,
okay. Well, bring up you know, the Beast of Mossy Bottom, because what's kind of interesting is that Aardman is teaming up with TikTok and is giving one fan of the studio the chance of a lifetime to actually be sculpted in clay and then be featured in this Shaun the Sheep movie. Now, Here are the particulars. The competition actually opens this coming week on September 4th, and that's over on the Shaun the Sheep TikTok account. And they're accepting entries. The idea is you're supposed to make a video for TikTok that again explains your admiration for Shaun the Sheep and why you'd be ideal for this project. And then I guess the notion is they're going to select the 20 most popular videos, the ones that are posted on TikTok, and then eventually a panel of judges will decide who is the ultimate winner. So again, that starts this week, September 4th. Ends on October 30th, so if you're a Shaun the Sheep enthusiast, get to work. And speaking of folks getting to work, again, this time last year, we were, talking about Flow and, how amazing it was that this incredible animated feature, which, again, would go on to eventually win this year's Academy Award for Best Animated Feature, was made for like $1.47, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you do the conversion from whatever, currency, $1.47, I think you're right.
There we go. So we have a follow-up project now, Limbo, coming out in 2028. Do we have any info about Limbo, or
you want info on Limbo? Well, what I think this came from a interview with the producer of both Flow and Limbo, and from what he said, that there is dialogue in this one.
That's
which will be the
what
first.
I heard. That's
okay. Yeah.
Which again, Flow was amazing. In fact, it's somebody who clearly had animals, whether it's cats or dogs or the birds. I love the sound on that thing.
Yeah,
they got it.
I think that. So yeah, I think because Away, which was Gintz's first movie, was also wordless. So this will be a new challenge, Jim, for him.
Okay, well, can't wait to see it. And again, 2028, man, 3 years we can handle that. So anyway, folks, sometimes commercial breaks feel like Limbo, but don't worry, Drew and I will be back in a moment. But first, this.
Hey, it's Paris. I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me, serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
With the Walmart app, you can squeeze in those final days of summer and nail that back-to-school shopping list. So keep working on that tan and let Walmart Express Delivery handle the rest. Chromebooks, Clorox wipes, Sharpies, glue sticks, pens, pencils, and more. All delivered in as fast as an hour. So pour yourself another iced tea. Summer's not over. Last-minute back-to-school supplies delivered fast. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new. Subject to availability. Fees and restrictions apply.
As a sports fan, I have to confess. Sometimes the game gets kind of boring. That's when I unfold my Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7 and use multi-window viewing on its large screen. Boring game? I'm checking out my fantasy baseball league at the same time. Score still 1-0? I'm replying to emails in the other window, scoring points with the boss. Semifinals finally getting exciting? I'm buying tickets to the finals and booking my flights. Can your phone do that?
The new Galaxy Z Fold 7. Get yours at Samsung.com.
And we're back. And of course, folks, this is the beginning of the month of September. And there is all sorts of cool animation related news coming up. In fact, a Fine Tooning listener, Paul Schneblin, reached out and was asking about the Toy Story 30th anniversary. Have you seen any of the stuff that's being prepped for this? I guess it's dropping nationally on the 12th?
12th of September. No, I haven't. I mean, the only thing I saw was the new Tom Whalen poster, which is so beautiful.
No, absolutely. Though there's also a popcorn bucket with the 30th anniversary and beyond logo, but it's got like little Buzz and Woody on the lid for it. And I wanted that's $24.99. And I want to say there's a steel tumbler that goes for $18.99, but the same thing with Buzz and Woody on the lid and the logo on the side. The Whalen poster, do we know where that's available?
I don't know if it's, I mean, I just saw it at a theater. I don't know if they're actually going to even sell it, but I think that it is the precursor, Jim, to I don't want to use the word onslaught, but a large procession of merchandise that will be coming in celebration of the anniversary starting this fall. I know some collaborations that I can't talk about yet, but some really cool stuff is coming from them. So yeah, and then we've got Toy Story 5 next summer, which is kind of like the kind of end of the celebration. Yeah, we do. Though again, we're coming up on Labor Day here, folks, the end of summer blockbuster season, and this is when, there's kind of a reckoning at the box office, and we've talked about what's been going on with Elio, and as of right now, 72 million domestic, 79 million overseas, worldwide box office of 152 million. Did a wee bit better in foreign territories. And I wanted to bring this up because a friend of the show, Jose, reached out and was sharing some interesting news about the Spanish version of Elio. That, like, for example, Mexican superstar Ana del Reguero, she was the one who voiced Ambassador Taras in both English and Spanish for Elio in the market. On the other hand, Gunther, who was voiced by Brendan Hunt in the English version, who's this guy who really believes in alien conspiracy theories. What was kind of cool that for the Spanish version, Jamie Masson, you'll love this, Drew, he's actually a real-life journalist who's made this huge career out of investigating all sorts of conspiracy theories. So, the notion is that's the voice you hear when it's, aliens coming. That's great.
Yeah, I again, somebody doing their job there for the Spanish version of Pixar. And instead of getting an actor to dub Carl Sagan's narration, they actually got real-life astronaut Kitaya Ezerati to do it. And by the way, she's the first Mexican woman to ever travel in space, but she's the second astronaut to dub a character for a Disney film, Rodolfo Nuri Vela. Who was part of a NASA mission in the 80s. Rodolfo actually dubbed Sigourney Weaver's character. Remember the voice of the aquarium for Finding Dory?
Yes.
And then finally, kind of an interesting bend on the story, given we were just talking about K-pop Demon Hunters and their 4 songs in the top 10. But there's an Argentinian electro-pop duo, Miranda, who actually wrote an original song for the Spanish version of Elio, which plays over the end credits. Quiero ser ti amigo, I want to be your friend. And evidently, because Miranda is huge in Latin America, that's actually helped boost the box office for Elio. So, I mean, I guess what we're saying here is people are trying.
I finally watched it.
And?
I really liked it. Have you seen it yet? Or no?
No. And in fact, I keep thinking the same thing. It's just sort of like, I've got the art of book. I just got to make the time. I mean, it's one of these things where I don't think I'm one of the people on the planet who I actually like The Good Dinosaur.
Yeah.
I'm traditionally very solidly in Pixar's corner. And this year, I just haven't made time for it. But
yeah. It's really wonderful. It's beautifully animated. It's really heartfelt. The creatures are great. It's a really good movie. I mean, you can see the seams a little bit sometimes, but I think that just adds to the charm, and I think that it's great, and I should have done a lot better. So,
well, you talk about being able to see the seams with animation, and that makes me think of Bill Plympton, who, hand drawn, and sometimes just half the charm of what Bill does is because it's so rough. But did you see where Weird Al Yankovic is teaming up with animator Bill Plympton? They're doing a week-long retrospective of Plympton's work at the IFC Center. In fact, it starts later this month, the 15th through the 21st, and it's called Plympton's Tunes, and it's going to be a celebration of his cartoons, which include, 2 Academy Award nominees plus a brand new premiere. And by the way, want to give a shout out to my friends Alex and Gina, who one day they called me. They were so excited. They had moved up to Portland and they had rented a house, and only when they'd been in it for like 5 or 6 weeks did one of the neighbors come by and was like, "Oh, you're in the Plympton house." And it's like, "Excuse me?" It's like, "Yeah, this is Bill Plympton's whole place."
That's really cool.
I thought so too. So, and speaking of, you want cool stuff. In fact, this is hanging up over Nancy's desk at our place, because she's the one who got it done. We were at Comic-Con, I want to say 15 years ago, 20 years ago. And Hayao Miyazaki made an appearance, and as we were interviewing him through an interpreter, Nancy slid her Comic-Con credential across the table at him. And he had the world's largest bodyguard with him, who immediately intercepted it and pushed it back to Nancy. And Hayao Miyazaki gave him epic side-eye and proceeded to grab Nancy's credential, pull out his pen, and autograph it for her, and then slide it back. To the effect of, I'm the one who decides what I do and don't sign. And I bring up that story because I'm pretty sure the reason we were meeting with Hayao at San Diego Comic-Con was when Howl's Moving Castle originally came out, and Studio Ghibli Fest is continuing, folks. In fact, I'm kind of sad that I missed Ponyo. That was just this past weekend, August 22nd through the 27th, when they were showing it back in theaters. But Howl's Moving Castle later this month is going to be back in theatrical release, and that's September 20th through the 24th. And then right behind that is Gabby's Dollhouse, the movie. And look, I know there were people who will make the joke that, we're stepping down, we're stepping way down from Studio Ghibli to Gabby's Dollhouse, the movie version. But here's the thing, folks. All right, Gabby's Dollhouse has been on the air since January of 2021. It was actually put together for DreamWorks Animation, their television side, by Tracy Page Johnson and Jennifer Twomey. And these two are Blue's Clues veterans, so they know a little something about creating a successful show for children. And so from January 2021 to now, here we are, September of 2025. There have been 11 seasons of Gabby's Dollhouse. There have been 76 episodes. And this is a big enough deal that when they were building DreamWorks Land at Universal Studios Florida, they, right there along with Shrek and Kung Fu Panda, was like, oh, we need a Gabby's Dollhouse Land. We need an aspect of this. And so... I'm going to be actually intrigued to see how Gabby's Dollhouse, the movie, does on September 26th, because isn't that the same weekend when The Wild Robot, DreamWorks sent that out last year? Yeah,
that is. Yeah, and the same weekend as Transformers 1 as well, or the week before, I guess, was Transformers 1. Yeah, I mean, I've heard that Gabby's Dollhouse, the movie, is really fun and really... just a great time at the theaters. And is there a Gabby's Dollhouse Land at the Frisco park or no?
I'm going to have to check on that. I would assume that's a gimme. Okay. But yeah, let's check on that. Now, speaking of animal-based animated series, of course, Paw Patrol debuted back in August of 2013. And to date, we've had 12 seasons of that show, 288 episodes, plus Paw Patrol the movie came out August of 2021. Paw Patrol the Mighty movie came out in September of 2023. And just today, Drew, we saw a little finessing of the schedule. Paw Patrol the Dino movie, which was originally supposed to come out in July of next year, 2026. Did you see the press release come through how that's now been pushed back to mid-August?
Yeah. I think that's a smart move, actually.
Really?
Next summer is very, very intense in terms of animated movies. So,
Okay.
yeah, take August, That's what I say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, again, Paw Patrol built around doggies, and of course, if we're talking about popular dog characters, that makes you think of Snoopy from Peanuts, and the American Red Cross is celebrating evidently 70th anniversary of their blood donation program, and what they're doing, if you're an animation fan or a cartooning fan, what's kind of interesting is if you donate blood between now, August, actually, we're recording this on August 29th, through September 21st, they have a mystery t-shirt that is evidently got a wonderful Peanuts design. So, again, it's always a good thing to donate blood anyway. But hey, you could get something cartoony and cool for this. And while we're talking about Peanuts, I want to remind you folks that Mark Evanier has a brand new book coming out. In fact, it's next month. It doesn't hit store shelves till October 7th, 2025. But this is The Essential Peanuts by Charles Schulz, and somewhat humble subtitle, the greatest comic strip of all time. But I've seen a little bit of this book in advance. It looks amazing. If you're a Peanuts fan at all, put this on your wish list. You're going to want to have this.
Did you see that they're also putting out, not to get on my physical media high horse again, but they're putting out every single TV special box set.
Okay.
That is it's like $75. It's on Blu-ray. It's got, I think, 40 specials. And it is coming out soon, I think in October.
Wow.
But
okay.
It looks really, really impressive. Yeah.
Okay.
So I would just put that on everybody's mind. Okay, here we go. It is the Ultimate TV Specials Collection. It's coming out on October 7th. And it has every single TV special that they ever did.
Wow.
So all the way up to Happiness is a Warm Blanket, Charlie Brown from 2011. And beginning, of course, with a Charlie Brown Christmas from 1965. So a lot of cool Snoopy stuff, Jim, for us.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for pointing that out. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't need to see Flash Beagle again, but that there are some other ones there that are genuinely charming. But all right. Anyway, folks, when we get back from this break, Drew and I will discuss 3 animation-related films that used to run at Disney-MGM Studio theme park. But first, this.
Gatorade is the #1 proven electrolyte blend designed to hydrate better than water. So you can lose more sweat and raise your game. Gatorade, is it in you?
Introducing the perfect companion to your morning listening routine. AG1's clinically backed formula is now flavor-packed with 3 new delicious flavors: tropical, berry, and citrus. Start the day on a high note with probiotics that taste like the tropics. Mix it up with micronutrients that taste like berry or citrus. And take it all the way back with the classic, AG1 Original, with notes of pineapple and vanilla. Do your health a flavor, or 4, with AG1 Next Gen, the daily health drink. Learn more at drinkag1.com.
This episode is sponsored by Friskies, who would like to tell your cats hi. Now, if that didn't get your cat's attention, there is one thing that always does the trick. Just pour some Friskies crunchy food in the bowl and you'll hear those paws come running. Works every time. With so many Friskies choices, you can always bring your cats running from their secret napping spots. There's always more to explore. See for yourself at friskies.com or visit your local store.
And we're back. Let's see. What else has been going on this week? Have you seen any of the ads that have been airing nationally promoting Disney Princess Week?
I heard about them. I have been kind of staying away from it. But I mean, I saw that
Mm-hmm.
they're doing all sorts of stuff for Disney Princess Week. They've got the voice actresses. I mean, it's a whole thing.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
Go ahead.
And it's worldwide, by the way. I mean, for example, Shanghai Disneyland right now, they're making a very big deal that Lady Tremaine, Drizella, and Anastasia are wandering through the park. And in fact, they're also doing a Mother Gothel walk around, which that one's kind of interesting. How do you do that sort of passive aggressive character as a walk around? And again, it's not just consumer products that's leaning into this. Publishing, for example, Taschen has gotten in bed with Disney. They've created this amazing collection of the golden books from, in fact, it's Disney's Walt Disney's children's classics from 1937 to 1953. Charles Sullivan served as the author on the project, and Kenneth Shue served as the editor. But it's 376 pages, and if you remember these books at all, folks, the illustrations are just stunning. Don't get me wrong, it's still the Golden Book version, and they tend to be a trifle dumbed down from the actual storyline from the film, but it's worth it alone for the illustrations. And speaking of books that are worth it for the illustrations alone, but I guarantee you this is going to be well worth going out of your way for. But Worlds to Conquer, the art and making of Walt Disney's Fantasia. This J.B. Kaufman book has been in the works for years, and it finally is hitting store shelves on November 11th. And I bring this up because on the exact same day, Todd James Pierce's Making Mary Poppins book. In fact, subtitle on this one is Sherman Brothers, Walt Disney, and the Creation of a Classic Film. I have my early review copy here, and Todd did his usual amazing job. He's unearthed all sorts of stories about Mary Poppins, a film that I've loved since I was a kid, but there's stories in this book I've never heard.
Such an undercovered topic too, Jim. Something that
but what's fascinating is I've been this summer collecting Cinefex magazine. I'm trying to get a full run of, I want to say they ceased for publication back in 2013 or thereabouts with 170 some odd issues, and just recently got the issue for Mary Poppins Returns. And what they were talking about is it was Ken Duncan's studio that did the pseudo hand-drawn animation for Mary Poppins Returns. And evidently Rob Marshall, when he was working on this film, just sort of looked back at the film from '64 and said, look, Walt had his A-team on this. He had his very best effects people, his very best animators, and if we're going to deliver a film that's halfway as good as the original Mary Poppins, we need the same thing. We need the absolute A-list. Before I forget, though, that Walt Disney Children's Classic book, that's actually coming out this month, September 16th, whereas Worlds to Conquer and Making Mary Poppins, that's November 11th. But put those on the calendar.
For a Taschen book, it's only $50 for the golden book.
Yeah. Usually that is an arm and a leg, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm still waiting for the Jared Scarf book to come down in price, but we'll see. I might be waiting for that for a while. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, folks, Drew has been after us to do this topic on Fine Tooning for a while now, because are you still working on your Disney in the 90s book? Because
yes, I mean in the background, but I wanna. I just love it so much, and I feel like with the animation courtyard returning to life in some ways, that it would be a good topic to tackle.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. And I was lucky enough to be there for the grand opening of Disney-MGM in April of '89. And I got to tell you, that one of my absolute favorite moments out of getting into that park during the press preview was being among the first to get to see Back to Neverland, the wonderful Jerry Reese film that he did with Walter Cronkite and Robin Williams. But you were more interested in talking about what, Mickey and Michael, right? The thing that you used to get to see when you did the MGM tour, the walking portion of it, the Inside the Magic special effects and production tour.
Well, I had come across it because I was watching it must have been the 50th anniversary of the company.
There we go.
There was a special, and Jim knows that I get into very depressing YouTube rabbit holes of watching things. And I was just watching the commercials from that special, and whoever had uploaded it included that clip. And I thought, oh, I didn't realize that it had ever aired outside of the theme park. And I was asking Jim, was it for the special first or was it for the park first? And Jim said, oh, it was for the park first.
Yeah.
You dummy. And
Yeah,
I said, okay.
No, I mean, it's just what's amazing about it when you see it in the 50th anniversary. I mean, it's beautifully slotted in that special. It looks like it belongs there. And it, by the way, it has one of the truly great Hollywood power jokes of all time. I mean, the moment where what is it? Mickey's in the theater for the screening, and he thinks he has a wonderful seat, but seated in front of him is Chernabog, and that this great moment where Chernabog turns around and does the whole Bald Mountain thing with the arms outstretched and the flames, and Mickey is screaming, and Michael Eisner comes into the shot and sits down with Michael Eisner, and it's like, could you sit down? We're trying to watch the movie. And to watch Chernabog go, oh, Mr. Eisner, I'm so sorry. It'll never happen again. It is really well done. Though when you and I were talking about this previously, Drew, you seem more enthusiastic about the Roger Rabbit stuff.
Well, I love that. Well, before that, he walks into the boardroom and Roger Rabbit is at the head of the board table, which shows you, again, you and I have talked about this, how he was everywhere in those few years after Roger Rabbit. But it's a really interesting piece. And you and I were also talking about, like, where did they film this? Because it's not at the Disney studio.
No, it is not. And in fact, it's interesting you bring that up because the Back to Neverland, the live action setup for it, that was actually shot at Raleigh Studios. In fact, kind of interesting.
Yep.
Also, where Roger Rabbit, the early scenes that are set on the lot were shot. But yeah, that in fact, what's kind of fascinating about what Drew's referring to is that Michael Eisner is gathering up all these folks to come to a screening, and you cut to like this hallway of a Hollywood studio, and there's these executives walking down the street. There's giant carrots, there's toy soldiers, and the evil queen from Snow White.
It's a really beautiful shot too. When he's first walking, and it kind of is like laterally tracking Eisner. It's really striking. So yeah, we were wondering where. So do we know where that was? That just a set? Where do you think that was?
It was just a set, because the interesting thing is, if you think about this time in Disney studio history, well, first of all, the animation building. This is now filled with production offices for Bette Midler and the Abrams brothers and, all of that stuff. And the actual animation facilities are now off-site in those old warehouses down in Glendale. So this evidently was set up on a soundstage, and they went into it was then right there on the lot. The costume department, and it's just sort of like, all right, let's grab some interesting stuff and put together. But it's Jerry Reese who directed both Back to Neverland and Mickey and Michael, but that's why it has the gloss that it does.
You can tell that Michael probably had a hand in that set, because it still feels very kind of like postmodern, kind of his style, and you're right, because I don't know if you've ever been to the executive screening room in the Team Disney building, which I don't even know was built by this time, but it's all the way up, you know, in one of the very top floors. It's a tiny room. So, yeah, Chernobog would have trouble getting up there, Jim, is what I'm saying.
Well, there we go. There we go. Now, so Drew has an affection for, for this film, Mickey and Michael. Me, on the other hand, there was a film that was done for MGM, Mickey's Big Break. It also goes by the name Mickey's Audition. And what's kind of interesting about this one, Drew, is it's not Jerry Reese who directs it, but rather Rob Minkoff, who you know as the co-director of The Lion King, who then went on to do Stuart Little, films like that. And have you ever seen this one? Where it's effectively shot from Mickey's point of view for most of it.
Where was this shown, Jim?
This was actually shown the interesting thing is it was the film that was shown to folks who had queued up to do Disney's TV tryouts, which for a summer was a thing that was done at Disney-MGM. And this would have been 91. And so Minkoff was hired to create this 5-minute long film. And Drew, what's great about this is that I don't know how Minkoff pulled this off, because it literally starts off with a shot of a red car rolling up Hollywood Boulevard at Disney-MGM, and Mickey gets off of that and he finds out there are auditions. But the cast of this, oh my God! First of all, the director who's in charge of Mickey's audition for Disney Studios, Mel Brooks, and his two studio flunkies are Ed Begley Jr. and Mark Lynn Baker from Perfect Strangers. And
Cousin Larry, we love him.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. And then when it comes time to actually shoot the movie, who's the cameraman? Jonathan Winters. Who's the sound guy? Dom DeLuise. And the kicker is that at one point there's a disaster on set. And Mel, in his jodhpurs and his beret, shouts into the megaphone, "Get me another mouse!" And they're sort of pulling Mickey out of the wreckage. And you then get Thus Spoke Zathara, the 2001 music, because coming at them, lit from behind, is Roy E. Disney dressed as Walt. And, he just... And it's,
that's weird.
That's the beauty. It is. But they light him from behind, and he reaches out, "Kid, you're a natural. Sign him up." And Mel is like, "Yes, sir." And then from there, what's terrific about it is this is basically a flashback, and they then cut to the Chinese theater at MGM, and they're staging a 1930s premiere with period cars, and there's this beautiful crane shot, and lovely Mickey and Minnie in 30s type clothes, walking into the. I mean, it's just so beautifully done. I mean, folks, if you have not seen this already, it's available in a couple of different forms over on YouTube. And again, you're looking for the name, what is it? Mickey's Big Break or Mickey's Audition. And what's also interesting about this, Drew, is, again, it only ran for the one summer that the TV tryouts thing was at the studio. But people at the company is like, this is wonderful. Just the fact that you got people, like, for example, it starts off with Mickey in his office, and the door opens, and it's his secretary walks in, and it's Angela Lansbury.
Wow.
Which is like, well, the whole thing is just, and Carol Kane is, a mom on Hollywood Boulevard, and everybody in it is somebody. But there were folks in the company who were like, when TV tryouts crashed and burned, it's like, we got to find something else to do with this. So starting in 94, it actually began running in the Main Street Cinema. If you went in there, they had replaced the silent films with this thing. And then in 98 for a while, it actually ran in the Town Square Exhibition Hall. So, but today you can watch it on YouTube, and that's what seriously recommended. It's just charming as hell. But at the same time, also check out Drew's favorite here, Michael and Mickey. That's great fun. And
yes.
And there's a there's a couple of iterations.
Mickey has a watch that has a face of Michael Eisner, and Michael Eisner has a watch that has a face of Mickey Mouse. It's wonderful. It's great.
Well, and the other weird little connective tissue between Michael and Mickey's audition is when Mickey is in his office at Disney Studio and it's supposed to be modern day, he's wearing the same outfit from Mickey and Michael. I mean, evidently, this is what we think Mickey Mouse dressed like in the early 90s. You know, when he's not in front of the camera, this is his casual clothes.
Was it his like sports coat and T-shirt?
Yes.
Look? Okay,
yes.
I love that look. Yeah.
So, all right. Well, anyway, folks, that's going to bring this week's Fine Tuning to a close here. But before we go, I want to remind you that there are nearly 300 episodes of Light the Fuse, the official Mission Impossible podcast. And Drew and his equally wonderful co-host, Charles Hood, they regularly interviewed all sorts of Hollywood greats for the show. And I seriously learn something every time I listen to a new episode of this show. So go check that out. And hopefully you might learn something here from the podcast we have at Jim Hill Media. We, of course, have Disney Dish with Len Testa. We have the Epic Universal podcast I do with Eric Hersey. Likewise, I Want That Too. And that's our merch podcast that I do with Eric's lovely bride, Lauren. Also, I want to let you know, brand new episode of Manufacturing the Magic, which is a themed entertainment history podcast we hold here, produced by Noah and Shelley Valladolid. Brand new episode of that just posted this weekend. And this one, if you know your early Disneyland history, you're going to want to check this one out because it talks about sister parks like Freedom Land and Magic Mountain. We also do the Disney Unpacked project for Patreon. That's what I do with Len and veteran Imagineer Jim Schull. And there should be a show about the Main Street Opera House dropping shortly. And Mr. Schull and I just today were working on the episode for later in September, and that will be about the corporate lounges at Epcot. And if that's not enough, we have a brand new show coming on Jim Hill Media. And in fact, this week it's called The Case 4 with Chris Cox, and that's me and Len working with a magician and mind reader, Chris Cox. So please check that out. Anyway, as we run for the curtain here, want to thank Eric Hersey and David Gray for the great job they do when it comes to editing and producing this podcast. Also have a favor to ask of you folks. If you could head over to Apple Podcasts and rate and review, well, not just this show, Fine Tuning, but also vote for Light the Fuse. And want to also mention social media as we head out the door here. So where can the nice folks find you, Drew?
You can find me on X and Instagram at Drew Tailored, like a tailored shirt. And I just love hearing another show that Jim and Lynn are doing that I have been not asked to participate in. It's my favorite thing. I will just be here on the sidelines forever, listening and watching.
Okay. All right. Now, as for me, social media-wise, you can find me on X and Instagram as Jim Hill Media, and then over on Facebook as Jim Hill Media News. But anyway, until next time, on behalf of Mr. Taylor, thanks for listening to this week's Fine Tuning, and we will be back soon.